I was Wayne Goodsell. I meant to put this in the video that I had just recorded and had forgotten to do until after I finished. So I'll put this at the beginning of the video before we get into the main meat and potatoes. Every year, YouTube has people flooding YouTube with Nostradamus predictions for the coming year. So sure enough, for January 2025, Nostradamus warned us 10 shocking 2025 prophecies you need to know. And so the thumbnail picture has Trump in a casket and Putin is crying. Oh, the joys of AI. Nostradamus unveiled. And here's a couple of Christian ones. Christians have no business with Nostradamus. Nostradamus is a witch, according to Christians. So it makes no sense why they would do this. Because Christians aren't going to believe it. They're going to believe in Jesus and the Bible. They're not going to listen to witches. Nostradamus was a Jew, even though his parents converted to Christianity. I think if that's the case. I don't have his bio in front of me. But it's clear that he does have seer abilities, as he has predicted many things that have come to pass. And so the question is, why aren't people looking at what was fulfilled and using that as the key for the future stuff to come? And then this is what the Christians are not interested in. They want views, they want attention, they want likes and subscribes. But the next one, Nostradamus warned the 10 most shocking prophecies. So you can see that they're trying to use similar wording as here in Utah. All the news stations are not talking about pollution during the winter time. They will never say pollution. It's inversion. It's smog. Haze. It's pollution. Use the proper scientific terminology, and they won't do it. And so this thumbnail picture has Trump's mouth wide open, and then it has, is it Prince Andrew with the crown on his head? Didn't he marry the Merkel lady? And then Putin doing the solemn thinker pose with both hands rather than the one. Then the other one, Nostradamus warned. Oh wait, there's also the text. Will die in 2025. So Trump, Putin, and Andrew. I don't think it's Edward. I think it's Andrew. Because he's been in the news lately, going around with his wife to visit places. And then, she's the one that got cancer. I think she's the one who got cancer. Yeah, she just got off of speaking, or she's now speaking with the press again, going out in public again. And so then you got Jesus as the eternal light. I've seen this guy many a times before. Nostradamus warned the 10 most terrifying prophecies. Are you really that stupid and gullible to fall for these kinds of things? Apparently, 2.3 million. The previous one will die 1.3 million, and then 4.4K, but it was just a day ago, so give them time. And so the Jesus Eternal Light, Trump dies. In December 2024, he will be, which is interesting because that's not 2025. But that corresponds with the Book of Mormon, 3 Nephi chapter 7, that Trump will not be established as king on January 20th. So pay attention, because despite their ignorance and lack of authority on the subject matter of Nostradamus, if they get their information from a true source, you can read between the lines to find the actual authoritative source that they're plagiarizing to be popular from. So, The Simpsons, this is an authoritative source. Likewise, fans of The Simpsons have paid attention as prophecies of The Simpsons stories actually happened. You know, the sale of Fox to Disney. Simpsons. They predicted it. And so thus, for 2025, we've got a whole thing of them. The Simpsons predictions for 2025 are insane. Simpsons predictions for 2025 are insane. The Simpsons predictions for 2025 will blow you. Blow your mind. What The Simpsons predicted for 2025 will blow you. Blow your mind. So yeah, you have Trump declaring war against the Chinese president, and then you have Putin dying in 2025, and Kim Jong-un starts war in 2025, and then you have Putin and Trump shooting it out. As I just saw Enemy of the State with Will Smith and Gene Hackman yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? Anyway, yeah, a horrifying thing, as AI is doing exactly what they were warning about in the movie. And then again, you have President Xi, or Emperor Xi, I guess he prefers to be called now, and America getting nuked. So America was supposed to get nuked this year, and that didn't happen. I guess now they're pushing it to 2025. But you have to watch The Simpsons to make sure that their predictions are accurate, and they should, because they use the clips from the show, or at least the picture scene from the show, what episode, from what I've seen in the past. So, on with the show.
Not to pollute your minds with such degrading matter, for the mind through which this filth passes is never the same afterwards. Don't see R-rated movies or vulgar videos, or appreciate or participate in any entertainment that is immoral, suggestive, or pornographic. Don't listen to music that is degrading. Remember Elder Boyd K. Packer's statement, music once innocent, now is often used for wicked purposes. In our day, music itself has been corrupted. Music can, by its tempo, by its beat, by its intensity, and I would add, by its lyrics, dull the spiritual sensitivity of man.
In the coming day, Jesus Christ will return to the earth as the Millennial Messiah, or the second coming. Do you see what is happening right before our eyes? Second coming of the Lord. Jesus Christ will govern from Old Jerusalem and the New Jerusalem, built upon the American continent.
Travis Wingoodsell. In 2020 or 2019, whenever Biden first announced he was running for president and became the candidate for the presidency, MAGA News Nation had found dirt on Hunter Biden. At first it was the laptop that was left behind at a store and he abandoned it, didn't go back to retrieve it. And somebody had stolen it, or somebody had, well, I guess if you abandon it, somebody else can take it. But it wasn't wiped, and so information that was on there was obtained by the person who obtained it, however that story went. And it was blown out of proportion to the extreme as an extortion threat on Joe Biden to drop out of the race or they will hurt Hunter with prosecution. Nonetheless, Biden went on to win. As Trump, in his rallies all that year, was talking about Hunter Biden laptop this, Hunter Biden laptop that, you would eventually have Marjorie Taylor Greene and the hand job lady in Congress doing revenge porn there in the seats of office of Congress, of showing Hunter Biden's dick pics. But Trump, for his October surprise, did nothing. I thought that was very strange. He was hyping up Hunter Biden's laptop the whole year. And then for the October surprise, not even a Russia, if you're listening, I hope you can find the Dick pics on Hunter Biden's laptop. Nothing. He goes silent. Talks about other stuff. And so he loses. Biden wins. And of course, Trump denied losing. And said that it was rigged. And so, yeah, January 6th. As Trump would go on at the end of January there, before he was removed, to issue a whole bunch of pardons for all of those who were involved in rigging the 2016 presidential election. Paul Manafort, Steve Bannon, among others who were involved in other ways. Trump would issue a flat-out pardon for all of them, except for Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen showed Trump no love, just like Mia love. And so Michael Cohen did his time, never pardoned. And now he does the liberal media circuit, especially for the election that we just had. He was the fixer for Trump. He knows where the skeletons are buried because he was the one who had to bury them. And yet, despite this, Trump has gotten away with all his crimes. But Fox News, justified Trump doing it, even told Trump to do it, to pardon everybody. They were okay with that. They saw nothing wrong. Trump was a victim. They were all innocent, because every criminal says they're innocent. There was no there. There was no Russian collusion. As we would find out that Barr ordered the special counsel investigation to wrap it up and conclude that there was no there. No Russian collusion. Barr tampered with the special investigation. And so, despite that, he nevertheless just slammed Trump and everybody involved for a clear rigging of the 2016 election. But you had to have gone and seen the document for yourself that was made freely available online. Fox News never wants to do that. Trump is innocent at all costs. So they purposely ignore what they don't want to talk about. Like all the Fox News claims that Dominion voting machines were rigged for the 2020 election. And them getting sued by Dominion and losing to Dominion. And Rupert Murdoch, gone as the CEO. Fox News never covered that any time in their news. They let their MAGA viewers believe nothing had happened. So MAGA viewers, not being told, would tell deep state dem snowflakes, sensitive snowflakes, when they tell them that Rupert Murdoch was fired for losing the lawsuit against Dominion, by Dominion voting machines, They would lie, didn't deny, and say, no, it didn't happen. Because that's how it works when you're a criminal. When you're a liar and a deceiver, you purposely leave out information so that you have plausible deniability to spread the lies and misinformation and disinformation. And so, for the first year or two, Hunter Biden was never brought up. And it wasn't until Biden started doing things contrary to what the puppet masters didn't want him to do as a condition for him to be president, all of a sudden Hunter Biden's issues came up again. And that was when congresswomen decided to do revenge porn on live government TV. And so, yeah, this year, for the presidential election, 2024, they were able to get Hunter Biden convicted, as they were able to throw in some other stuff that they had found out he had done. I guess cocaine or other stuff. And if you don't know the Biden family history, it's one of tragedy. The other son of Joe Biden had died. I don't know if it was in combat or as a returned veteran committing suicide. I'm not sure what it was that resulted in his death. But for MAGA to go after another son is deplorable. That was just wrong. But it has nothing to do with honor and integrity to stay away from people's families, as the code of criminals have that. Only the worst of criminals would use a person's families against them to extort them, to get them compromised to do what they want to do. And we've seen many a Hollywood movie come out where the president of the United States is compromised by the enemy. And so there's the threat of the 14th Amendment being utilized, or is it the 21st? I think it's the 21st. The 21st Amendment. Oh no. The president is no longer in control. He's being compromised by the enemy. And so chaos ensues, and in the end, the president comes out on top. At least in most of the movies. But clearly, looking at the bigger picture from the start to the finish, Hunter Biden was used to control Joe Biden as president. He needed to recuse himself from being president because the enemy was exploiting his son to have Biden do what they wanted him to do. And so, during Biden's term in office, Roe v. Wade was overturned. Biden did nothing to stop it. The southern border became a crisis because of MAGA, and Biden did nothing to stop it. And many other things that MAGA caused, and Biden did nothing to stop it. The Democrats knew when they took office in 2021 what they needed to reverse from the Trump administration. And they failed to do it. Biden came into office and said, "I want to work with MAGA," and thus gave aid and comfort to the insurrectionists who were involved in the overthrow of the government on January 6th. Not adhering to his oath of office that he just barely took to go after any violators of the 14th Amendment, Section 3. And that led to the utter destruction of our Constitution. Because Hunter Biden was used against Joe Biden to get Joe Biden to do what the enemy wanted him to do. That's why he was put into the presidency, as Trump backed off and was given assurances he would not serve a single day in prison for anything he had done. So, in the news, I guess it was Sunday, Biden pardoned Hunter. He had no choice. But Fox News is in a frothy frenzy all day yesterday about how this is just so wrong. This is a corruption of the system. Joe Biden goes out as the liar in chief. And even other news stations brought up that Joe Biden said he would not pardon his son. And not a single one of you remember that I was the one who told President Biden that he'll need to pardon his son, but it won't matter. MAGA will still murder him and you, Mr. President. Joe Biden failed America to protect us from the enemy that has couped our government. And so who is this enemy that is pulling the puppet strings of Trump and of Biden and of Congress and of the Supreme Court? Who are they who hide in the shadows? On March 14th, 2020, Saturday, Las Vegas, Nevada, there was a meeting held for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' missionaries, with a special guest appearance speaker, President Dallin H. Oaks. The missionaries are not allowed to record Oaks. Oaks does not like being recorded. He's sensitive about that. And it was only for these missionaries. It was not covered in the church news that Oaks went and spoke with them. So these missionaries were only expected to write home to mommy and daddy. President Oaks came and talked with us. I felt the spirit. Church is so true. That's it. That's all those missionaries were expected to do. And yet a little sister missionary, 19 years old now, still a teenie, violated the orders of the church and recorded him in the first presidency. This is awesome. Exclusive stuff that she wants to share with the world. And so I didn't find out about it until last year. It's last year now. Dear God, I'm going to forget numerous times, I bet. As is the custom. That it was another guy who had the hots for this returned sister missionary and had taken a quote from her recording and did his video on it. And YouTube, with the Mormon employee who wants to prove to me that the church is true, and I'm an apostate, anti-Mormon, antichrist whore. And so I need Mormon Jesus in my life, and so I should listen to these other Mormons bearing their false witness testimonies of how their feelings are true, and I need to validate them. And so the subject was interesting, so I took a look, and I went, oh, well, that's great when Oaks confesses to his crimes that I've already done the videos of. I'd already established it as fact. Already did the research. I know how to do research. I've covered all the videos. Because in 2020, I was on the forefront fighting for you guys. Standing up to the church in a no-win situation. And pharaohs kept saying, no, we will not let Mormons go. And I'm the one who filed against the church with the Insurrection Act. And because it was part of RICO filing, the magistrate justice who received my case was required to submit it to Attorney General Barr. And Attorney General Barr took 2 weeks with it before sending it back to the federal courts here in Utah. And on that weekend, before he sent it back, I learned through the news that he had met with prosecutors, had a meeting with them. And in that meeting, he told the prosecutors that he had come across the Insurrection Act, and that he recommended that the prosecutors use this against the Black Lives Matter protesters. They did not listen to him. And then January 6th came, and the Department of Justice began late finding out who was responsible on the people level and rounding them up and prosecuting them under the filing that I had made against the church. Barr, of course, said no to prosecuting the church. So there's some backstory that is exclusive information because I was directly involved. So this is what Oaks said. Remember, this is March 14th, 2020. The events of 2020 had not yet happened. The mass murders and the coup attempt had not yet happened. The church hadn't even announced that they were canceling attendance at April conference. That was still a couple of days away. So understand context, understand the chronology of events, and when and how they occurred. This is not the end of the world, but merely a test. Excuse me? Do you see what Oakes just confessed to these missionaries before it even happened? A trial run for the second coming. I thought no man knew the day and the hour of the second coming, Oakes. Not even Jesus. You see what he's exposing here? This should make Mormons uncomfortable. This should scare the rest of you. He is confessing that he and the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 are the masterminds behind the presidential elections, behind the coups by SCOTUS, by Congress, by the presidents. That Jesus is a fraud. And so what is the doctrine of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints concerning the second coming? Because everybody now knows that Nelson in October's conference said that in a coming day, Jesus Christ would return for the second coming as the Millennial Christ. So take that, all of you who complained that they didn't announce that it's the Millennial Church. See, Mormons are too proud to admit I was right. They just go in silence like cockroaches and hide, or cyber terrorize me, because they know that I won't know their identity. The second coming of Jesus involves multiple comings. It's not just one that Christians believe in, which is the clouds of glory. And they merge the other comings that the church has into the one, except that they don't have the Adam-on-Diamond coming. Christians don't believe in that. And I've gone over with you, it was the Danites, because of the coup of Joseph Smith's church in 1838. But in 2021, I had finally found the source of the Mormon myth about the gathering at Adam-on-Diamond for the big priesthood meeting, as we all assumed it was. And because nobody knew of the source of it, It became a myth in the church. That's how I knew of it. And it was by Joseph Fielding Smith that I had finally found, and I immediately bought the book and did the video on it, and I've been using the pictures from it ever since to remind you. And Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. talks about this gathering at Adam-on-Diamond. And it's clear that he is not in the loop of evil. As the son of Hiram Smith, he was deceived and lied to by the Danites, who had indoctrinated him as a little boy. Because he also made a comment concerning tithing, saying that there will come a day when Mormons will no longer need to pay tithing because the church will be rich enough to support itself. In 2019 of December, the whistleblower of Ensign Peak Advisors announced that the time had come. Mormons don't need to pay tithing because the church is rich enough to sustain itself indefinitely, forever. As we are all told, and he was told as well, that the money was purposely being hoarded to pay for Armageddon and the second coming of Jesus. So you need to put all of these pieces together to see the big picture that's going on. The church are the masterminds running the government, pulling the puppet strings, spending whatever money is necessary to that end. Judas Price. So Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. says that at this meeting at Adam-on-Diamond, there will be a transfer of government authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer to the rightful king, Jesus Christ. That's a coup. But he believes Jesus is real because he believes that the church would stop Mormons from paying tithing. But they're not. And they keep pushing other ways to collect money, even to sue their own insurance companies to get more money. After the SEC fined them $5 million, which is nothing compared to what they have. And yet, they're trying to obtain as much money as they can, now that the 2024 election is over. Put things in the context. Put all of it together. Oakes is confessing they are in charge of the overthrow of the government. The coup. That it's not Lucifer and Jesus. It's the church. And they're going to take the government of the United States away from we the people to turn it into their Zion. This was their plot that Thomas B. Marsh told in his affidavit to Governor Boggs, who then signed the extermination order. These Danites are terrorists. They are the worst of human behavior. They are pure evil to the core. And yet, Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. would go on to say that this is going to be a secret combination. The world will not know of it. The members of the church will not know of it. The world cannot know of it. The saints cannot know of it. This is a secret combination that he's describing. A coup of the government that he's describing. Article of Faith number 12. We believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates, and obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. Law is the Constitution. But this MAGA organization run by the first presidency and the quorum of the 12 apostles, take that, Fox News. They're the ones in charge of it. They're still the same old enemy that they were back in 1838. To frame and blame Joseph, to steal his religion, and to turn it Christian. And I've told you that that's their intention, is to utilize evangelicalism along with the church, to side with them, to prop up Jesus to an extremist position, to make Jesus the mass murderer and the government insurrectionist. And it's all Jesus. Jesus' mighty powers. So now when you go back and you listen to Nelson in his Solemn Assembly Conference in 2018, it says, in the coming days, yeah, take it in this context, that the church were the masterminds behind Trump. They were telling Trump what to do. They were locking up babies away from their mothers at the southern border, sex trafficking them to rich white evangelical parents, the most abominable of human action committed by Trump was ordered by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's what Oakes is confessing to. That Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, Zuckerberg, Putin even, all did the will of this church. And that's why Trump pardoned them, because of Helaman chapter 6. And it is therefore this church that has put the Biden family in danger for their lives now. It is the church who wanted MAGA to hang Mike Pence. There were Mormons on January 6th. The most infamous was the Mormon from Idaho, who was captured on camera hanging from the walls of the Senate, rappelling down. And yet there are still Mormons who want to disconnect from this, who don't want to believe that this is true and then act as the enemy, to act as a criminal, to support and sustain this church in their criminal activities, who lie and deny and purposely don't want to listen to what they don't want to hear, exactly as they've been taught by Fox News. Because if they don't hear it, then it didn't happen. And they don't believe it. That's why people won't listen to my videos. They will only come to put a thumbs down, a hate comment, and a death threat, or a false testimonial. This church is the enemy. That extermination order was repealed in, wasn't that also 78? I know the Edmunds-Tucker Act was repealed in 78. Let's wade through AI that they're advertising today, that their Google Chrome, instead of selling, is now saying, we use AI. But of course, my system is obsolete, and so it keeps the pop-up coming up saying, your system cannot upgrade for AI. Yeah. AI was used to rig the voting machines this year. For the first time ever, AI is used in the voting machines. AI never works. It is not intelligent. It always gets answers wrong. Now I've forgotten what I was looking up because of all this delays. Crap. Let's see if I can. All right. When was the repeal of not God. I'm gonna have to stop the camera and figure it out. Found it. It's the Mormon extermination order when it was rescinded. It was June 25th, 1976. So 2 years in advance. And so then in 1978, the church was told by Jesus that he's no longer racist. The blacks can also prostitute their wives and sex traffic them. And so later that year in November, the United States Congress then rescinded the Edmunds-Tucker Act that shut down the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It ceased to exist on the face of the earth. They never reincorporated it. We technically are not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because of the filing and the law of the Edmunds-Tucker Act revealed that Brigham Young had incorporated the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1852. And so, if you look up Brigham Young, the wiki, They say he's the second president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But it wasn't an organization until 1852. Plus of the forged documents. See, when you put things in the context, in the big picture, put it all together, you see what's going on. And as president, they put December 27th, 1847. That would have been in what was that location? Winter quarters. Yeah. They're not. They're actually saying after the arrival. Interesting. Because there are some sources that say it was winter quarters, that there was a vote. Others say that it was right after Joseph Smith died and those who went with him, though the scripture that he made put in 1844's Doctrine and Covenants was, well, no, I think it wasn't, because it couldn't have been, because it was 1846. And so yeah, he didn't put that in until 1876. See, it's 136. Yeah, he's at winter quarters apparently, January 14th, 1847, and says the word and will of the Lord concerning the camp of Israel and their journeyings to the west. Let all the people of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Nope. Yeah, section 136 was not put in until the year before he died. So, interesting. The cover-up expands. But yeah, they're claiming that once arriving in Utah in December 27th, 1847, that's when he was officially made the president of the church. But it was only as Danites from the Vanguard Company. Which was right before Mexico seceded. When did Mexico secede from the United States? Yeah, I know, I never separated from the United States. The war began April 25th, 1846. When did Mexico secede to the United States then? National Archives. See, AI always is on top, and I can't trust them for information. It was February 2nd, 1848. So just barely over a month. The United States would then send Brigham Young a letter saying, I understand you're a leader out there. You can be governor, if you'd like, of the new territory of Utah. So understand, he's king, not president. So yeah, November 1978, United States repealed the Edmunds-Tucker Act. And clearly, the government said, well, you need to stop being racist. You need to let blacks have full rights and privileges in your religion. Not understanding that the Edmunds-Tucker Act was also for the Perpetual Immigration Fund, based upon Section 119. And so, yeah, the government, they're not going to bother to do the research on this church. They're just going to believe whatever the church tells them, that it was just for polygamy. Not going to tell them that it was about child bride polygamy. Not going to tell them about the prostitution and the sex trafficking. It's all part of the cover-up. And so, yes, what Trump is going to do is going to be the will of the first presidency in the Quorum of the 12. Lest I remind you, Trump visited them in 2017.